there.
Hello. Good to see you.
You too.
Happy April 14. Tomorrow would have been tax day.
That's right.
That just occurred to me.
Yeah. So
April 15th. Yeah.
I'm trying to do two things at once, and it's not.
That's all right. I'll talk while you're typing. That's cool.
Yeah.
I believe that got pushed back to March, which is an interesting sign of the times.
May.
March. What am I saying? May.
Wrong way. We're going to go back in time and
let's not do that. I saw a great T-shirt that said, "Marty, whatever you do, don't go back to the year 2020. Back to the future, Marty." I was like, "Yeah, that's good advice."
Well, we're glad you're back to the show. We missed you last week.
Thank you. Hi, Deborah. Happy spring.
Yay.
Absolutely, spring has sprunged. Absolutely did. Yay.
So go ahead and tell people what we expect out of them.
Yeah.
You've joined this show. This is what we want from you.
You're here, no lifeguards. You're here under your own volition. We are Eyes of Indigo, and I am Morgan Ross Sears, and this is Iris Carter, and we discuss weird stuff in a rational way.
Yeah.
And obviously we wax philosophical about it, and tonight's show is a stronger reflection of that. But before we get to that, we want to thank our regulars for coming back online with us week after week. Hi, Heather. Thank you for being here. And we also want to thank our newcomers. Hi, you're always welcome to this channel. And everyone is free to share this podcast as you wish. It's public, it's free, and you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and iTunes. You can pick up past episodes. Yay! And Iris keeps that updated with us when the busy lady has a time to do it.
I added a few without commentary. I'm trying to just get the shows up so at least people can listen, and then the blog side of it. If people, I'm thinking, I don't know if people are even coming to the blog, but at least it'll be on iTunes and Spotify. So I'm working on getting caught up.
It's great. Every little bit, just getting the shows up there is awesome. It's easy to find back shows on Iris's YouTube channel, Eyes of Indigo, and Eyes of Indigo podcast is the most useful search term to find that. And hello, we've got Dale and Jeannie Stacy with us tonight. Thank you. Aloha. Aloha. And Goddesses of Indigo. Hey, I'm almost dressed for it. And that's cool. That's cool. And Edie has joined us too. Welcome. Welcome. Yes. We appreciate newcomers to the show. We appreciate the regulars, old comers, maybe. I don't know.
Seasoned participants.
Seasoned eyeballs for the Eyes of Indigo.
Yeah, and just to let people know too, we get, from our perspective, we can see all the comments because we're running live on Facebook and on YouTube. So when there's something pertinent, I try to flash it on the screen, but we also read it out. So for our audio listeners, and then for like people on Facebook that aren't seeing the YouTube, they're going, where are they saying that? Yeah, so don't get confused. It's we get to see it all. We're omnipotent here.
We're seeing two channels at once. Yeah.
So
that is a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
And I know we've every once in a while I get notification because we're listed on Eventbrite, and every once in a while I'll get somebody has purchased a ticket, which they're free, you know what I mean, but they've signed up to come. So if I don't know if they actually come or not, because we can't see who's here
unless you comment.
unless you comment. So we'd love to know if you're here. If you're a first-time watcher, that's great. Introduce yourself.
Type in there and say hi.
Yeah, and ask questions as we go along when we start talking.
Always.
Love questions. Yeah.
Love questions, and we welcome that. Absolutely. Throw in your 2 cents, even if it's not a question. We're happy to see it. Yeah.
I wanted to, so I think we've covered all that. So I want to show, this was the flyer I put out for tonight's show. And it's honoring others while honoring ourselves. And I added some commentary to it. It's maintaining individuality and self-respect in the midst of adversity. Finding balance when confronted with opposition can seem impossible. Join us for a discussion on how to be steadfast without becoming overbearing and overburdened. And I don't know if people noticed or interested, but notice the one tulip is a different color. Yeah. So it was kind of a
individuality and self-respect.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. We hope. Well, we know, but
we know.
We know.
We know. Brain waves coming out and coming across. Yes.
Yes. So, one of the, I guess the best way to start off is to talk about what is honor, because if you're honoring yourself and you're honoring others, what exactly does that mean? And have we lost?
Respect is showing honor, right?
Yeah. So honor is from the Middle English and the Old French. Middle English is from the Old French. Anyway, Latin honors is the root word, and it can be a noun: high respect, great esteem. His portrait hangs in the place of honor. It can be a verb: regard with great respect. They honor their parents and all they did, or to fulfill an obligation or keep an agreement. Make sure the franchisees honor the terms of the contract. We also talk about honor roll, being on the honor guard. Those are, places of esteem. But what was interesting was I saw the word honesty in my search come up. And honesty is from the similar root, and it is, the original sense was honor and respectability.
And then
later became decorum and chastity and virtue.
Virtue, right.
Yeah. So
that's very interesting, the evolution of the language.
Yes. Yeah. And then, of course, the other word that comes hand in hand with honor is respect. And they're often considered synonyms. Yeah, I had to think
synonymous. Synonymous. Right.
So respect, and you notice in parentheses they have honor, and this is off the Cambridge Dictionary.
Up at the top.
Politeness, honor, and care shown towards someone or something that is considered important. You really should treat your parents with more respect. It's also a feeling that something is right or important, and you should not attempt to change it or harm it.
And that is intriguing. What an intriguing definition.
Yes. In the example, she grumbled that young people today have or show no respect for the law. In their senseless killing of innocent people, the terrorists have shown their lack of respect for human life. So, but the feeling that something is right or important and you should not attempt to change or harm it. So,
ooh, that's controversial right there. Ooh, yeah.
But is it when we talk about honoring ourselves and others without becoming overbearing or overburdened?
Or without changing them.
And that's part of honoring somebody else, is recognizing them for
where
who
they're
they
at,
are and where they're at.
right at that moment, even if that
Yeah,
moment is not that glorious.
right.
Actually,
Right.
all moments are glorious. They just, some moments are difficult.
And
Yeah.
remembering that judgment on whether it's good or bad or evil or
Or
wrong
glorious,
or right, all
or
of that
glorious or
judgment,
not glorious. That, yeah, all those things, all those
it's
terms.
ego.
Hmm. Yep.
Um,
I can own that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and and we do that because it's the language that a lot of people understand. You know, my
Right.
perception of this is that it's not a good thing, or this is a great thing. You know, here, eat this ice cream. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Respect the
I
ice
hate
cream.
that. Yeah.
Respect the tone. I'm kidding.
But,
I'm kidding.
but,
But, but, oh, thank you. Got a cowbell. Woohoo!
I found my green one, by the way.
Ooh, the big noisy
It's
one. What's it say?
yes, the Sierra something, whatever beer that is. I
There
got, I
you
got,
go.
I got a whole herd coming through.
You got earrings. You know what? We're going to have cowbells made with eyes of indigo and send them out as gifts to,
For
like, for regulars or for speakers on our show or something.
yeah, or prize or something, you know.
As a prize.
Yeah, that'd be
That would be
funny.
cute. Yeah. If they can put beer on a cowbell, so can we.
Yeah, we can put our eyes on them.
Ooh, that'd be even more interesting. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Symbolism. That's just awesome. All right.
yeah. Okay, wild tangent there, but yeah. So respecting people
Respect.
where they're at, whether you agree or not,
And when
is
you,
removing judgment.
right. And when you don't agree with them, that's when you're in a situation of trauma or conflict, that it's the hardest to feel respect, much less demonstrate it when you are not in that headspace to do so.
And it takes
Agree.
practice.
It takes practice. Absolutely. When you agree with someone, it's very easy to show respect for what they're doing or saying. When you don't agree with them, such as road rage, somebody cuts you off in traffic.
Yes.
What comes out of your mouth while you're sitting behind the wheel? Especially when you're alone in the car.
Yeah. You idiot! You could have killed me.
What the hell are you doing? Yeah, that's and of course adjectives come out as well. Nouns. Let's just call them that. We go back to the swearing
Question
show.
your birthright.
Where'd you get your driver's license from? Right.
Who's your mama?
Yeah, I'll show you who's your mama. Cut them back off. There's your daddy. No. So, and you know what? Something we didn't think about: how people view humor. Some people view humor as disrespectful. Other people see it as a high respect. In my situation, from my perspective, I can speak for myself. If somebody gets the humor that I'm bringing to a situation, especially when it's controversial, I have a higher respect for their intellectual capacity to go there with me.
Yes.
And we understand that the gravity of the situation isn't necessary. All right. There's another way to deal with it. So it's a way of humor, and what's classified as maybe disrespectful or out and out disrespectful humor. That's a way of weeding out who's on your plane of understanding and who isn't. That's a tangent we didn't think about in the wind up to this before the show started. But
I love humor with doctors. It throws them off.
They totally don't expect it, do they?
And they crack up. I mean, they're like,
They so need it in a high stress job like that. I know your doctors appreciate you tremendously.
I told a very inappropriate joke during a gynecological exam one time.
Would you please tell us the joke? I vaguely remember it, and I think this audience can handle it. Please tell us.
I had, and it was kind of like it was a guy, he was doing his residency. I lived in Greenville at the time. This was like 30 years ago. And that you either had one or two regular family practice physicians, or you went to the hospital facility where you could see all the different doctors in there, because it's a teaching school there. And so I had seen this particular physician before, but I went back. He's doing the exam, and there's this British nurse that's in the room with us. She's very proper, very very
British probably, yeah, the decorum.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, I was talking to the doctor, and I said, I am reminded of a joke. And he said, tell it. And I said, how do you carry a drunk woman home? And he said, I said, like a 6-pack. And he cracked up. He had to stop what he was doing. He was just like bent over laughing. And the nurse was like, what?
Bawdy American humor just went right over her proper
Over her
head.
head. He leaned in and whispered to her, and she went,
I would kill to know, what did he say? How do you explain that without being morbid or a little bit graphic?
At least he didn't use me as the example.
This is true. At least he didn't demonstrate.
Yeah.
Maybe he just named a couple of body parts, let's just say.
Yeah.
Adjacent body parts, maybe. Hey, Janine, you came in at a really good time.
Yes. How are you? Yes,
Those of you on Facebook saw Janine pop up on YouTube. Somebody popped in right in the middle of that joke. But I know Janine's very cool. I know she was with it.
Yeah. So,
just to give it context, we're talking about humor related to showing respect and honor and disrespectful jokes and so on. Yeah. And this was for her.
But it also kind of connected us better, And
yes. Yes.
And it was mutual respect. It was like kind of like, I can tell this because I trust you. And he could laugh because he knew he could
open up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't have to stand on pomp and circumstance. Right. God knows that poor British nurse was still there.
Yeah.
But did she laugh?
She finally, she just was just like total
mortified.
Yeah, but she was, I could tell she was going to recover. It was just so out in left field for her. Yeah. She just was like, can't believe you told that. I can't believe you laughed. I can't believe I didn't understand it. It was that kind of thing going on.
She had her own process.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Good. And you know what? When somebody shows you their process, they're showing a level of respect because they're allowing you to see them in a vulnerable state of confusion and indecision. Yes. So show it. That's a mild level, or maybe secondary. I don't know, but I don't know what word you would use. But showing your process means I'm allowing you to see that I don't get it, and that I'm trying.
And there are people that will bluff their way through. And it's like, have you ever run into somebody that you didn't know? You knew them, but you couldn't remember their name or whatever. And it's like, I don't care anymore. I'm just like, I know you. I know your face. Love you to death. What's your name? It just, I can put it out there and...
Try going through life with a name like Iris or Margot. That's not a name that sticks until you get it. All right. Yeah, if you've met me, heard my name once, it doesn't stick. But yeah, I totally get it. I love watching people try to remember what my name is. And I totally don't care. I really, really don't care. I'll answer to all kinds of stuff that people think it is. And I know your name's Iris. I know you don't always get Iris either. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I feel where this is going is a part of getting into respecting others is letting go of the expectation or the demand that they respect you back, or that their respect even has to be there or reciprocated.
And that was
And I know
something
I'm jumping forward. Yes, that meme shows it terrifically. Yeah.
it says, I don't care if you're black, white,
Short.
short, tall, skinny, rich, or poor. If you respect me, I'll respect you.
And that's a beginning. That's only a beginning statement.
Yeah, it's like I get what they're trying to say, and I'm respecting the person that said it, but I saw several like it where it was like, I don't have to respect anybody if they don't respect me, or respect is earned. You have to earn respect for me.
Nope.
No. Because if you're honoring people for who they are
in that moment,
or in general,
yeah,
think about, there's a lot, I've witnessed a lot of disregard for, if it's not happening in my backyard, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And when you think on a worldwide basis,
global thinking. Yeah, global thinking.
We're all here.
We're all rowing this boat.
Yeah, what I burn up, blow up, whatever here, the smoke's going to come your way. It's going to affect you at some point. Butterfly flaps its wings over in China. Guess what happens here? Who knows?
The butterfly effect. Yes. Yeah, the chain reaction, the cascade effect. The food chain is another expression of that. The 100th monkey is another expression of that. Yeah, where we go one, we go all. That's another expression of that, even though that's a very controversial statement in some ways. But it all reflects that same meaning in nuances, but in basic meanings. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people actually get overwhelmed by the thought of, holy cow, I'm taking care of me. How am I supposed to think about everybody else? But that's the thing. You take care of you, and the rest falls into place. If you're focused on where you're at and what you're doing, which includes having a respect. If you respect other people, then you're taking care of you.
And when you're taking care of you, you are collectively taking care of everyone else as well. The phrase, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. That's a cliche. That's an expression of that. When you take care of yourself, the ripple effect, the butterfly effect kicks in. So, and that's reciprocal by its nature. When you take care of other people, it ripples out. When you take care of yourself, it ripples out. And these are based on the concepts of that we are all one. So what happens to one person happens to everybody, which ties back into what you just said about, I don't care if it doesn't happen in my backyard. If it happened on the other side of the world, that's your backyard.
Yeah.
That is your backyard. Yeah.
Right. And so I saw this, because this sort of is the opposite. If people respect you, respect them back. If they disrespect you, respect them back. They represent their ideology. You represent yours.
Yes.
So we don't. It's not a pissing match,
Nothing is. Nothing
Yeah.
is. Nothing's a contest. Nothing's a pissing contest. Nothing is a contest. You have nothing to prove, and nobody has anything to prove to you either. So expecting that or anticipating that ends up being a form of self-sabotage. They represent their ideology in the moment, or let's define ideology. How would you define that, Iris? The word
Well,
ideology, just to be clear.
ideology, I think in that case, I might have had religious context, but it doesn't have to be. It can just be your beliefs, whatever they are, whether it's religion or society or politics or
Your values.
yeah.
Yeah. Whatever context they are, politics, family, religion, money, health, whatever, your values. So,
Yeah.
yeah, when somebody is showing their ass or showing out, they're showing you how they feel.
Yeah.
They're also showing you their value of it. You're not going to act like a raging moron, a temperamental moron, when you're espousing about some topic that you extremely care about. However, you will tend to act less respectful towards a topic that you dislike or care less about, have less value on. So, yeah, acting out is 100% an expression of self. And people tend to, people observing, if it freaks you out, somebody's words, somebody's post online, somebody's opinion freaks you out, you're taking on their journey when you feel yourself freaking out or getting upset or or the popular word, getting triggered. And it's not your job to be triggered. It's your job to recognize that you're being triggered and still treat that with respect and take it. And my advice is take that moment as a teachable moment and think about, why did that trigger me? And what can I do about that for myself? What about this is triggering? Why did I react that way?
Well, I think
Yeah.
to back up a little bit, because
Mm-hmm.
you had asked me earlier before we started about how did I change my perspective and how did.
Let's switch to that. What are some how-tos? That's very, very helpful
Yeah,
stuff. Very
because
helpful.
I can remember there was a time where if I did something at work that, especially at work, I always thought, okay, you got to be professional and you got to do things, And um, if somebody criticized me at work, and maybe they were trying to be constructive, maybe it was constructive criticism, and I tried to see it that way.
Yeah.
But sometimes it wasn't. I mean, I had some bad bosses too. I just had some really.
We can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I got fussed at in any capacity, my response was to shut down and or start crying because I didn't know how to handle it. It was
Default reaction.
yeah.
It was a default reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and then I started, and it's almost like you got to kind of practice it in your head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, if that happens again, how would I react differently? How could I have handled that better? Instead of punishing myself for the way that I did handle it, I would just say, okay, how are you going to do the next time? Yeah, well, I'm going to listen and I'm going to recognize that it's not me, it's their perception and whether or not they can listen to me, and that I have a voice and that I can respond calmly. And how would I respond calmly and still show them respect as being my supervisor or whatever? And so then that started working. And then I started recognizing, am I doing a good job? Yes, I'm doing a good job. Am I doing the best I can in the moment? Yes, I'm always doing the best I can in the moment. And then it didn't matter so much. If somebody said something, you know, There
Yeah.
are times where I've looked at somebody and gone, well, who pissed in your cornflakes? Or I have said, you look like you're having a bad day today. Instead of taking it on myself and being as, they're mad at me and, oh my God, what did I do? It's now,
There's more to the picture than what you see.
yes. And so, depending on the person, if I can joke with them, I will, or whatever, or where I just recognize, I don't have to buy into that.
I'm not available for that. You're setting a boundary.
Yeah. And it took that practice. And now, when something happens and if, there was a family conversation and it was like, do I respond to that or not? And I just kind of took a deep breath and just said, no, let it ride. It'll be all right. I didn't need to validate my point. I didn't need to create angst on the behalf of another person. I could respect their position and it didn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I just want them to know that, yeah, you can have your opinion. That's great. Yeah. Okay. I don't have to give you mine just because you gave me yours.
And people tend to be more forthcoming and more honest with you the less you speak a counter opinion or a counter comment, and you just let them say what they want to feel like they can. And it generates tremendous mutual trust when people feel like they can speak honestly in your presence. And that is a show of respect on both sides.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah, when somebody is, remember, honesty, when somebody is completely honest with you, they're showing you tremendous honor. And they're allowing you to be honorable. It's another opportunity. It's just good karma all the way around.
and it's one of those things that
Win-win.
comes into without being over, what did I word it as? I said, without being overbearing and overburdened. That was the phrase, because it's like some people will, feel like they have to respond and I have to let you know what I'm thinking because you just said something that I don't agree with. And you don't have to be overbearing and you don't have to go, oh, I wanted to tell my side, but if I have to put up with them, that's not it either. And you mentioned something, the perspective thing, and I thought I'd show the cartoon that I found. And it's the cat's over here casually going, we understand each other and respect each other's privacy. And the man's going, that cat hates me. And, the cat's like feeling the love. And the man's going,
totally not.
Yeah. And jumping to conclusions and, assuming that you know how the other person feels and trying to put guesswork into things
is all risky behavior. Yeah. What you're trying, and you can look at yourself when you're doing that, when you're trying to label and identify the cause of somebody else's behavior. For one, don't judge yourself for judging other people, because you're doing a human thing of trying to make the people in your environment fit a perspective that your brain can handle in that reality. But two, you're still judging them. You're still limiting what they can be.
Yeah.
And you're automatically going to put both yourself and them on the defensive.
Yeah. Oh, let me get rid of our names here. We don't have
That's all right. We know who we are now.
Yeah. Deborah says, one way to think of this, you're not the center of the universe. It's not always about you. Once you embrace that ideal, it takes the pressure off everyday life. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Once you understand that concept, your whole life will shift. It's not always about you. Matter of fact, 99.9% of the time, it's not about you, except for as a collective, which is a much further discussion. But take nothing personally. We're talking about Don Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements. Take nothing personally. Always do your best. I don't remember the other two.
I'm not familiar, so I'm not. I probably am, but not.
I know where the book is in the other room. I have some artwork based on it in my upper hallway, but that's one of them, is take nothing personally. And it's mostly about dealing with the judge that lives in your head in modern society. Great book. It's a fast read. Highly recommend it. The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements. His son, Junior, went on to write The Fifth Agreement, which I understand is an excellent book as well. He's following in his father's footsteps. Both Ruiz's are good. Ruiz. So back to what we were talking about. The first one you put up that says, if you're tall, fat, short, skinny, if you respect me, I respect you. That behooves the question that came up in the second one a little bit. And I think you got another meme that was brought to me by Dusty Staub.
Yeah, I was getting ready to.
That shows that respect is about honoring the personal sovereignty of each person around you, whether at home or at work. So the personal sovereignty of anyone, regardless of your relationship to them. It can be a stranger, a coworker, or somebody as intimate as a cohabitator, a child, a family, a spouse.
Do this. Explain sovereignty, because
okay,
the first thing that comes to my mind is king and queen and all that stuff, you know.
I'm glad you asked that, because this is a topic I love. What is sovereignty? Humans, okay, I'm going to go at one point and come down to another. Humans, this is based, that the use of that word in that context. For starters, sovereignty does mean kings and queens. In the context of this, it is referring to the fact that every single individual is automatically at birth, and if it's in your belief system before birth, but at least in this life, at birth, you have the honor, the credentials, and the respect deserved of what we would call a king or a queen, depending on your gender. And in this context, king and queen are equal. There's not, a queen is not less. Okay, she's an absolute sovereign ruler, just like a king is. So the only difference there is just gender. But all sovereign is the fact that every let me back up a little bit. Sovereign refers to the fact that each person that usually has a soul, and there's controversy about whether or not, if they have a soul, are they sovereign? That's an interesting discussion too. That's much, yeah, that's getting way on out there. But this is the habit of regarding every single person as an individual king or queen of their world, their domain, their reality, based on the fact that this is actually makes it very relatable, based on the fact that we know that every single individual creates their own reality in every microsecond, every second, every day, year, month, lifetime. What you believe, what you feel, what you want, what you don't want will show up or not show up, or manifest is another word for it, because you do or don't want that in your life. All right. We create our own realities every single second. And since you are the creator of your reality, another word for your reality is your world or your kingdom or your queendom. Since you created it, you're the king of it, or the queen. You're the king of it. I just use king because I like the word king. So that makes you an automatic sovereign of your world. So that means these 8 billion plus kings and queens all over the earth can honor each other inside of, side by side in little kingdoms all over the world as individual sovereigns. And as sovereigns, they can work together as a team to create stuff. They can work together as a team to create bigger things. But the individual is not lost in that. You still have a group of kings. All right. They're not all of a sudden peasants and serfs with one leader. Nope. They're all kings. So that's what the sovereignty is right there.
Gotcha.
Honoring everyone as their own creator of their own reality and all the due respect that entails automatically.
Yes.
The U.S. Constitution was based on that concept that the individual is respected and deferred to first before any organized government is respected or deferred to. Yeah, the individual is always more important. So, and you can almost contradict that. The good of what was the Star Trek thing, the good of the one versus the good of the many.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. If somebody in the comments, guys, if somebody remembers that exact Star Trek quote, I believe Mr. Spock said it.
The needs of one.
The needs of
many.
The many outweigh
the needs of one, or
the needs of the one, something like that. The word outweigh comes in. So that's actually another expression of the fact that we're all one. So when something happens to one, it happens to all. But the inverse of that is true as well. So it gets really, that what is truth, what is opposite, what is not opposite, and eventually you find out that they're not opposite. They're the same thing.
And it goes back to that, recognizing that as individuals, we can move mountains because we're connected.
Even the ones inside here, or in here, even those mountains can be moved. Yeah.
And so just the fact that one thing that I've learned is if I continue to show respect for somebody, even if they don't respect me, eventually, and I've got a good story for that. I used to be director of a senior center and plan programs and all this stuff. And at Christmas time, we had a big Christmas program, and we would give away poinsettias to anybody who was in the audience that was 55 or older. And so, with my program money, I'd buy, 150 poinsettias or whatever, and so because we were in Madison or Madan, whatever. Anyway, and this grandson of one of the people that came to all our programs was there, and he was about 10 years old at the time, and he had picked up a plant. Well, she already had one, and she said something to him about, no, I already got one, but he kept holding on to it. And I said, honey, I know you want one, but we need to put that back so somebody else can have it. And she goes, he wasn't going to steal it. She got so mad at me. He wasn't going to steal it. And I'm just like,
that wasn't the point at all. Yeah.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. I just treaded on her toes. And so I'm like backing away, kind of thing. Well, it got to the point, she was so mad at me. Like the next time she came in the office,
she got triggered. Yeah.
She wouldn't even talk to me.
Oh.
And I tried to explain myself. I didn't mean to upset you. I wasn't, but she didn't want to hear it. So every program she came to, how you doing? Everything going all right? And she'd just look at me and glare. But it took 2 years before she would really talk to me.
That's 2 years you don't get back.
But once those 2 years were out, it was like I stayed consistent. And I didn't take it personally because I knew she misunderstood, and that was her journey. I didn't
Right.
have to take that road trip with her.
Right. Yeah, that's a good phrase. Type that in the banner. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And so she eventually, I decided I wasn't going to change for her, and she ended up being one of my best advocates. If something would go wrong, Iris knows what she's doing. Leave her alone. You know, she'd tell other people. You know, and it'd be like, all right, this is cool. And I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to fret because I knew I was being consistent, and it turned it around. I mean, I could have taken it personally and just, oh, you old baggy witch, you know, I ain't gonna, like, but
you crazy bat, right?
Yeah, what good would that have done me?
It wouldn't have moved y'all forward. Yeah.
So sometimes you got to move forward, and you end up pulling everybody with you, or you can hunker down in the trench and just get dirty with everybody. You know, and why spin your wheels when you can
fly?
Yeah,
absolutely. So in a situation like that, when somebody confronts us or creates a traumatic situation, or you're just passively listening to an opinion or a thought process, say you're in a conversation and somebody wants to talk politics and they are opposite from you, and for whatever social reason you're obligated to sit there and listen for a little while. Have you ever noticed that when you put humans in that position, including myself, including us, this is a human spine, and my hand represents that. You notice we start bending over and we start hunching up. And when they illustrate that even in Hollywood, the actors will imitate that behavior. They'll lean forward and even put their hands on their heads and so on to really, really emphasize, that humans will hunch up when you start and get defensive. And that's a defensive posture, that they're not liking what they're hearing. What they're doing is blocking. All right. They're getting defensive and they're trying to block the energy coming at them. When I'm in a situation like that I'm listening to something I don't agree with, or it's not my ideology, it's not my values, first thing I do is realize, okay, we're not agreeing. First thing I do is sit up, change, and let my spine and my lungs and my chakras and my neurological system all get into the shape that they're supposed to, rather than fight for space and function, being all crammed on each other. Get my head back up over my spine, over my shoulders. Take a sit back, which philosophically people say that if you're in a situation you don't like, take a step back, either metaphysically or physically, or metaphorically is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And not metaphysically, metaphysical, metaphorical. Yeah. I think this group gets it. For trying. I'll get there. So when and that's part of what we describe the show is how to handle that. First thing you need to do is notice, in my opinion, and this has worked for me, and Iris says she's noticed it for herself too. First thing you need to do is fix your posture. Notice your body language. Notice that you're moving into a defensive posture, or you got your hands up, or you're crossing your legs, or whatever. But sit up straight. Get up straight. And the next thing you need to do is take a deep breath. A slow, deep breath. You can, if you want it to be seen, you can use your mouth. If you want to be subtle, you can use your nose. But you can actually try this right now. Take a nice, slow, deep breath to the count of 7, 8, or 9, 10 in there is a good idea. So try that. Sit up straight. And blow out for the same count. Keep breathing naturally. Look at your brain and how you feel. Your brain will shift. Taking a deep breath, neurologically resets your brain to calm down. And it allows you to be more clear, and that more oxygen comes in. So now you've got more clarity about what's going on in the situation, be it verbal or visual or tactical or ethereal. I'm making up sign language as I go here. And sometimes you need 2 deep breaths. Sometimes my mama is a 3-breather. Woo! Parents can really trigger you.
Oh my God, yeah.
Your children can really trigger you. Let's just be honest, that goes both ways, right? So some people are a 2-breather or a 3-breather, but at least take one, sit up or straighten up as best you can and take a deep breath. Release, drop your shoulders. And when I started doing that, I immediately recognized how I was listening to this person. When I'm in a defensive posture, I'm listening so that I can formulate what I'm going to say back to either counterpoint them or shut them down or defend myself or whatever. Instead, when I had that clarity, it dawned on me, wait a minute. What are they actually really trying to say? Because, as Deborah said, it's not about me. My triggers are my business. I'm the one feeling defensive or put upon. Their expression of their malcontent or their values or whatever they're expressing, like Iris said, that's their journey. So what am I actually being shown here? And when it's my turn to talk, I'm going to use words along the lines of, so I hear you saying blah, blah, blah. Of course, not blah, 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 but whatever it is I feel like they're saying.
All I hear you saying is blah, 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 blah.
Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. And sometimes that's what it is, but you know. And at that point, you're reading, all right, this person is filling the empty air with wah, 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 because they feel insecure, they feel bored, they feel nervous, and they're just chattering. But you can see behind and beyond what they're doing. And if you respond from that place, now you have an authentic conversation, even if it's just for a few seconds with a total stranger or somebody you very much care about. Now you're generating an authentic conversation that comes from heart, because now you're speaking in terms of you care about what they're trying to really say. And now you're giving them a chance to express themselves a little more clearly, which is an expression of respect from you, inviting them, if they want to show respect back by now playing this kind of volleyball with you instead of a pickleball volleyball with you instead.
And you're honoring yourself because you're not going on that journey with them. You don't have to. I want to honor myself. And why do I need to feel that stress and that upset? And I don't have to.
You don't have to. And you're demonstrating the behavior. So next time when they're in a similar situation with someone else, they now have, even if it's subconscious, they now have a living example that you modeled. Maybe unintentionally, but you modeled. And so guess what? You just gave them a key to further their own personal freedom. What's personal freedom? It's sovereignty. Oh. You are the king. You are free. Who else, baby?
We came full circle on that. Let's ride the tram, you know.
I wasn't even trying. It just came. Credit for everybody. This is
for
everybody. You did great. So Janine had a comment. What do we got, Iris?
She was driving and she said, so she just now got back in. So she was listening to us and she said she loves the 4 agreements, which is good because there it is in writing too. So anybody who didn't catch it the first time around.
Yay! The 4 agreements.
Yeah.
And absolutely. And Dale, yep, Dale agrees with that too. Awesome, Dale and Jeannie. So, I mean, you guys, what if you want to in your comments with us? I mean, we're coming close to the end of our hour, but when somebody's talking to you about something that you don't agree with, do you have other techniques besides what Iris and I talked about how you cope and still stay in a respectful space? Just to recap, I said sit up and take a deep breath and listen for understanding rather than for retaliation or response. Iris, I think you were talking about you listened to, you reframed the confrontation in terms of that's their journey and not mine. And
a lot of times, if I can just take a moment,
yeah,
and it happens in a split second, and like you were saying, step back. You know, it doesn't take but just a moment to reevaluate. Where do I fit into this? It's not about you. Okay,
and
there.
maybe
Now,
you don't. Yeah.
yeah. Rather than
Yeah.
shut down, I open up.
That was a good one. Rather than shut down, open up. We need T-shirts. That's awesome.
I got
Bumper
the notes.
sticker or something.
Eyes for
Tattoo, baby.
cowbells and T-shirts.
Get some tattoos going on here. Instead of shutting down, open up. Absolutely. Have you noticed that we're dancing around and circling back around to again and again a theme of being vulnerable or not vulnerable in front of someone else? You notice that keeps popping back in here?
And that is
interesting.
ego.
That is ego, yes. Perceiving yourself as vulnerable or someone else.
You block them on Facebook to delete them from your contacts and forbid your friends to ever talk to them.
Give your sister a cowbell there, sweetie. Deborah is Iris' sister, for those of you that don't know. Surprise!
Cutting you off. I'm not going to look at you anymore.
If they love you and leave you, what you love them, you leave them, you let them go. No, you hunt them down and kill them and bring them back. Yeah, that's kind of the same thought. Yes, you can do that actually, and that's setting boundaries. There are humans that confront you that are not going to let you have a peaceful resolution or an intellectual resolution or anything. And yeah, logic. There is that too. I mean, there's all types of humans on the planet, of course. So the people you got to set boundaries with, work it, Deborah. That's exactly what you need to do. If somebody's not going to work with you on, somebody's not going to cooperate with honoring each other's sovereignty and honoring each other's values peacefully, yep, you got to put your boundaries on them. You really do.
Yeah.
And now you're protecting, you're still protecting the collective. As you protect yourself, you're protecting everyone else on an energetic level as well as an emotional one. Yeah,
I think, and the key there is what you're doing for yourself. You don't have to drag all your friends into it and forbid them to. I love it.
Yeah, she was going good, and then she took a left turn at the end, and that was our kind of
but
radical
I get the humor.
silliness.
I love it.
Exactly. The exaggeration is the exaggeration of the point is what we're laughing about. Absolutely.
Yeah. But if you do elicit the input from other people, did you hear what she said about me?
Now it's gossip.
Oh my God, gossip. Yeah.
Now you're talking about a very toxic thing, gossip. Yeah.
Yeah. And
which is what modern news is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just made up gossip. So yeah. To sell newspapers, as they say in the old languages, in the olden times.
Bleeds, it leads.
Yes, if it bleeds, it leads. I forgot that one. That's a very descriptive one. Yeah, and all these things can do that for you. So thank you for sharing, Deborah, on how you You cope with confrontational situations with people. That was special. That was awesome. So, Iris, can you tell everybody what your sister and we are going to do next week?
Yes,
Yay.
I will give a slight preview. The book that I have been working on. This is the author's copy for preview. Yay! I am letting the woman that's helping me publish it get her eyes on it first, but we're planning to do a release in next week on the show. Margot's been very generous and suggested that. And my sister, who experienced a lot of these things, and I tell some of her stories in this book as well, is going to join us on the program. And we're going to talk a little bit about the book, but we're also going to share stories that you won't find in the book.
Stories that didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
Hold juice here.
So it'll be an interesting discussion. Yeah, if basically I wrote this book telling my perspective of things that happened as a child when we lived in a haunted house. And then how I dealt with it when my kids started seeing people that we couldn't see. And, and some of my sister's experiences and how to handle that and how to honor your children and assess whether it's real or not real and all of that. So lots of tips. And
can you put the title of your book in a banner running across the top? Bottom in that purple banner.
So next week because it doesn't matter right now anyway.
That's true, but it's
It's the ghosts and the children who see them. No, it's the care and feeding of ghosts and the children who see them.
Yeah. And it's anecdotal, but there's also some very practical advice about how to cope with having your children and yourself deal with these things. And we have another comment, Dale and Jeannie. Love that you brought out the catalyst effect others teach us about self. Since we are one, we are teaching one another. That's very clear. Thank you. Yes. Thanks for bringing out our unity consciousness six-pack and all. Cracking on a queen right there.
Glad you got the joke.
Dale has been a guest in a past episode, guys. Feel free to pull that up on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Facebook, and the backup. I don't know if you can do. Yeah, can you do backup episodes on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They're in our videos on our page.
Okay, cool. And you can see Dale talking to us. Dale Stacy talking to us a few weeks back.
Dale.
Yeah, absolutely. That was cool. That was so funny.
So we will be back.
We will be back. Same bat time, same bat channel, same bat place.
Yes, crazy bats we are.
Because we is batty on occasion.
Yes.
Hey, and Deborah Lackey is going to join us, the sister of Iris, and regale us with stories that are not in the book. Please join us.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for coming, everyone. Namaste. We love you. Good night, Janine.
Thank you for joining The Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod of Incomptech.com, licensed under Creative Commons. Visit our Facebook page for broadcast details, www.facebook.com/eyesofindigo. Show is copyrighted 2021 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. All rights